And we are into picks and bans, ladies and gentlemen. Team W on the blue with JDG on the red. No ban onto set right now, or the Kiana, as we see Gragas, Pantheon, and LeBlanc banned away, along with the Rumble, the Lucian, and the Akali. So plenty left up here for Team WE to first pick. And it looks like Kiana, like you said, the shift in the priority.
With that Rumble banned away, yes, most certainly. If the Rumble was left open, we probably would have seen that picked up, and then you can go towards something like the Jarvan in the jungle. But with these picks off the table, Kiana just becomes the easiest. Looks like we're going to be pretty much seeing a mirror on JD from our initial game, which is, okay, Aphelios has slipped through, let's try and go first.
And they first picked that one there, and anything you can do, we can do better from JDG. So we're seeing very similar picks coming in, but this time we're going to see a Nautilus coming up from the side of JDG.
That's I'm kind of surprised at. I thought we'd see the Braum locked in here more so, because again, does start to counteract the likes of the Ornn or any of these pesky poke champions that we might see come through. But Ornn and Misfortune, so a very strong setup in that trio with alongside the Kiana for those team fights. That's fairly potent.
And I was just about to say, something that was left up in the last game, or sorry, left to the bans in the last game, has been left up in this one. The Mordekaiser, almost certainly going up to Zoom. Could go to Yagao, but definitely into the solo lanes.
Yeah, and imagine now if we're looking at WE, it's going to be jungler bans. You've already got yours locked in for Kiana. Well, you'd imagine so. I would think that's going towards Beishang, but get rid of the likes of, well, they've got the Elise gone on one side. Get rid of, your Lee Sins, anything else along the lines that can have that early game advantage, like the Jarvans, and just give yourself an easy early game where WE can control the tempo, and maybe not with those 3 kills going over towards Loken in the early game, can mount a game 2 victory.
As we said, JDG obviously banning out the Elise. They are aware the Kiana can go towards that mid lane, and the Kiana-Elise combo can be deadly at any point in the game, so they just want to knock that on its head straight away. Renekton going to be the ban away, try and give Mordekaiser, if it is going towards that top lane for Zoom, any kind of a easier matchup.
It still leaves open the Gangplank for Morgan if they want to go that direction. Does very well into the Mordekaiser because you've got the remove Scurvy to get rid of the Realm of Death from the Mordekaiser. So that could be something that Morgan looks for. And again, tending more towards how do we enable Morgan to be more of a carry in these situations.
The Jarvan being banned out as well. We're seeing a heavy amount of jungle bans. That could be a Nautilus mid, which is something we didn't actually think about coming into that pick and ban phase. Obviously made absolutely famous by the one and only World Championship winning team FBX, but that is a Nautilus mid for Yagao.
JDG picking up a little bit of an FPX special. Obviously, a lot of teams have been looking at this Nautilus mid after the victory for FPX, the World Championship, but I didn't expect to see it come out for Yagao. This is a very potent roamer though, so this says to me that we're going to see Kanavi focus in towards this mid lane and then try and get up towards Zoom in the top lane to get this Mordekaiser rolling and be a menace when it does come to the later team fights.
Gangplank locked in, like you were saying earlier, for the side of WE to give it over to Morgan, try and get him something that can have a little bit of a later impact, a little bit more damage, as you were saying. Diana as well, something that has been hovered quite a bit by a few teams, but Team WE going to go straight back to the Zoe for Plex in that mid lane.
I wasn't convinced by Plex's Zoe to begin with, and I'm not a fan of it coming back in. I would have preferred maybe to see something like that Orianna, so you're constantly able to keep the enemy team at bay, utilizing the ball as this zone control tool, because you're going to have hooks come through from the Nautilus. You've got the Rakan there. Now if they want to go towards something like the Rek'Sai, a lot of follow-up engage for anything that lands. The big problem, they've only got the Glacial Fissure to try and keep everyone at bay, and that's not really where you want to be.
And right now you can see them all swapping around as the Rek'Sai for Kanavi in this game. Pretty standard considering the Lee Sin, the Jarvan, and the Elise all taken away as well, so still keeping yourself a little bit of AD with the double AP in the solo lanes.
I'm not convinced by WE's composition right now. I don't see a way for them to really play around the team fights. They don't have a huge amount of poke. It kind of seems like they do a lot of different things. The big one for me is just try and leave the Gangplank off on the side, and then eventually when they do start to join team fights, utilize them as a we kite back, try and draw them into us and have a lot of damage coming through from the barrows from Zoe, but it doesn't give you a way to accelerate the lead that you have. Missing is not going to be able to really get much going unless it's a flash engage or flash glacial fissure. So if you find WE are getting ahead, they can't force JDG to try and do anything. Whereas if JDG get ahead, they've got so many tools to try and force fights, it becomes very easy for them to snowball over WE.
For JDG, looking to try and just get that Mordekaiser going. Like I said, Zoom had a fantastic game in Game 1 on that set. Looking to do a very similar repeat performance on the Mordekaiser. And of course, the Aphelios, Loken bringing it to the side of WE, saying like, look, this is how you make it. He's trying to redeem the win percentage for this champion.
Yeah, it has to be someone who's got to step up to the mark, because right now Aphelios not looking too hot, but Loken, definitely someone who might be capable of doing so. When Loken was back on his previous team, I wasn't convinced entirely by him. I thought, you know, maybe we need to see something a little bit different. Was coming off top esports. I wanted to see him be a little bit stronger in lane. I wanted him to see him stand up and be recognized, but wasn't quite able to do so. Now, standing next to Lumel, his previous support from 2018, I think he's doing a little bit better.
We are going to jump onto the riff, ladies and gentlemen, for Game 2 of this best of 3. JDG looking to seal it out with only 2 games, and Team WE looking to come straight back into it. It always just filters out before that last Jaiho. It's
always that one guy who's still like, oh wait, we're not going again.
Yeah, it's someone who hard commits to it and just kind of like, oh, everyone's gone.
It wasn't me. That was someone else who said it.
No, it was that guy. I don't know what you're talking about. So we jump onto the riff. No level 1 shenanigans this time around for the side of Team WE. They learned their lesson, took their rap on the knuckles, and backing themselves away. They will get themselves a little bit of vision, though, just to make sure they have an idea as to where the side of JDG send Kanavi.
And this is kind of standard now across the board. We're going to see both junglers looking to start on the bottom side, clear it up towards top. This is more for Beishang to just try and keep Morgan in check, make sure that he's not getting these early plays from Kanavi. Because one of the things, of course, when you're on the blue side is the Rex side can pretty handily find multiple ways into the lane, and it's hard to ward against. So having Beishang up on that top side would just give a little bit more protection towards Morgan.
So you see there, JDG, Loken setting up himself a little bit of a pushing lane, able to get that first early reset as the lane will be pushing into him. As I said, now taking a fair bit of damage there. Going to try and get the heal out as the Ignite goes down. That was an interesting trade, but overall, summoner for summoner, no real damage done to either side.
Lumel going very far forward, and I'm not sure what the thought process there was. I mean, yes, Chumeng is going to take a little bit of damage, but you're totally fine as an MF to back early in lane because you're able to pick up the extra Doran's Blades that fits into your build, gives you a little bit more punishing power, and you can see right there that now Loken sitting fairly low himself.
Will have the sight to be able to get himself back up into a better position. So we can see there is Kiana coming in though as they jump in with the grand entrance. Exhaust goes down, flash burn by Loken, and Lumel has to flash himself over the wall. They should be able to get out of this one pretty damn easily.
They're waiting for Rek'Sai, who's sitting at the top.
Kanavi is there, will use the tunnel, and they're trying to find out anybody they can, and missing has to put up the unbreakable. No level 1 shenanigans, but already we're seeing some fireworks in this bot lane.
Tippertat, everyone backs away. Summoner is blown on all sides. Loken and Lumel completely out now, whereas you still have the flashes for Joymeng and missing, although that mightn't be around for very long as the Misfortune takes another little bit of damage.
See Kanavi hunting right now, knows that this Kiana is level 2. Beishang just trying to keep himself outside of the reach of the Tremor Sense, and will do so successfully. And overall, this bot lane is going to be fairly hotly contested. You could see what Loken can do with a lead. He was able to keep himself ahead, push his lead eventually over to the side of JDG, pushing into Team WE. And that is important for the side of JDG. As you can see, already the jungler's back in this bot lane.
They want to try and get onto this Misfortune so low. They have the dive potential there, but with Beishang playing, keep away, they're going to just take a time out and move back.
JDG hard forcing the issue. You can see with the fact that they were level 3, only just hit there by the side of Team WE. They wanted to try and push down the tower play if they could. Beishang is here to try and help push out the wave with Plex and move himself back up towards his top side jungle, which, by the way, neither jungler has touched.
True, but both these junglers are Bei Shang is actually fine with the way that this is starting to play out. Jiameng, as we say, can back up, pick up an extra Doran's Blade and be totally fine as the Misfortune. You don't really need to go for these big BF backs like some of the other AD carries, say like a Caitlyn or something along those lines. And Bei Shang, if you can keep Kanavi down in the early stages of the game, Qiyana has far bigger impact the later this game goes. So if you're just answering for what Kanavi's trying to do, you're winning out as Bei Shang.
Already Loken and Lu Mao able to put down the pressure in this bot side as they're able to get that turret played, a bit of a CS lead as well. And you can see the longer that this goes on where they're not able to get themselves an advantage. Flash in, flash again from Kanavi. He tries to get Plex down. He picked himself up a flash and able to get himself out with that W.
Well played by Plex to escape away from that, but does mean there is no flash left, and this just feels like a rinse and repeat for Kanavi and Yagao. Very easy to set up this lane and set up the ganks, and this is something that Kanavi loves to do. Get Yagao ahead, we talked about in Champ Select, and start to get this Nautilus out onto the map.
And we've seen it a couple of times as well, obviously again from FBX, but I'm going to stop myself as well. Kanavi, they're going to go for the TP with the Nautilus. You talked about it as well, the flash in there from, or flash away from the Misfortune as Nautilus picks up first blood. The Braum falls on the backside as well. Bei Shang can only get himself out as JDG are hard for us. I swear this is FBX.
I mean, it looks very, very similar because that's what you do with Nautilus. And this is why I was blue in the face saying Jiameng needed to back, needed to go get that second Storm Blade. It was greedy play coming through from the bot lane of WE and JDG punish.
JDG just hard forcing the issue, able to pick up 3 plates at 6 minutes already into this game. And that is a very, very big gap between him and the opposition Misfortune.
As well, almost picking up a plate in the top side for Zoom, who is starting to win out in the top lane matchup. That will start to swing back towards Morgan eventually, but for the moment, definitely in favor of the Mordekaiser, so Kanavi can keep his attention towards Yagao and Loken.
And here we can see it. Kanavi went from mid lane straight away into the bot side using the teleport, and there's just nowhere for these guys to go.
But look how low the Misfortune is. This is where you should have backed earlier. You know that Kanavi is perfectly fine to go for the dive. Lu Mao, with how slippery that the Rakan is, can also tank that turret very easily. It's just greed and not allowing JDG the opportunity to go for something like that.
Now you're looking at a Doran's Blade, 2 Doran's Blades and some brown bags on his feet versus a BF sword and the similar amount of brown bags on his feet. But overall, this is not a good sign for the side of WE, and with the Dragon being an Ocean Drake, you're going to look towards Kanavi going again for that bot side pressure. This is looking very, very dire already, only 7 minutes into the game.
It's nearly a 2k gold lead for them as well. Missing now, running into Yagao.
Getting a stun up with the passive. Also blows are there. There's the dredge line, but there's a lot of people here on both sides. There's the ultimate coming in straight away, and they just CC lock Plex as they try and put him down. Still a very slippery champion. It's missing flashes away. He's ticking down, but not enough. Another dredge line lands for Yagao, but I don't think they're going to take this underneath the turret. They get a lot of damage down, and almost certainly going to be able to take the Dragon off of it.
I mean, you're talking about JDG looking like FPX. WE are looking like the old LNG. We're seeing Plex not communicating that Yagao is missing from the lane, and with the jungler there, they're able to jump onto Missing, who thinks he's safe to roam up through the river. Not so much when Yagao is waiting in a bush. Now JDG are able to get their hands onto this dragon handily as you like.
There's going to be an Ocean Drake, a little bit of regeneration there. Not going to be too massive, but it will help with the laning phase. Probably the best Drake to get in the early phase, especially when you're against, especially for someone like Zoom, who's got those parlays to contest with. Fernal going to be the next spawn. And right now, if you're JDG, you're 2,000 gold ahead. You're sitting pretty. You do have no issues whatsoever because this bot lane is just non-existent for the side of Team WE.
And you kind of expect it anyway, because again, we're kind of looking at Missing, not able to do a huge amount to the Braum. It's almost like a double range because you've got those quills that are going to be coming in to get the poke down. But going in under the tower.
Goes in just for the sake of it. Really wants to put down the hurt and the impression that they have absolutely no way of coming back into this game at all. So we see Yagao taking a little bit of harass there from the Zoe, but will be a long time before that Nautilus really takes any kind of detrimental damage. And Kanavi, he has been everywhere this game.
Will gets spot on the edge of that ward, but I don't think they were ready
And here we go, the quickness comes in, no ultimates available for either of these two in the bot side. It's going to be the Misfortune dropping first, Luma will drop second. There's the Gangplank ultimate as Kanavi has to back away. Loken will take a fair chunk of his own health bar away as well as they try to push in again. But that does mean that Beishan can go for this top side Rift Scuttle, and that's actually a little bit of a botched engage there from JDG.
And in the mid lane, Yagao actually got hit by one of those paddle stars, so he's forced to back. Plex is picking up some of the turret plates there, and now this gives an opportunity, if they really want to, for WE to try and throw down that Rift Herald in the mid. Zoom is coming to collapse though. You've got Lu Mao who's coming up as well.
You got Lu Mao, but you also got the Misfortune and the Braum rotating up as fast as they can. I feel like they just have to let this one go, as it will eventually be taken down at just under 10 minutes. And like you said, Team WE is finding a little bit of glimmers of hope, and honestly, they kind of needed that, because right now, it's looking a little better, but still not great for them.
No, I mean, the 1-for-1 is great, especially the fact that the kill went over towards the Misfortune. We're past the 10-minute mark as well, which means that stopwatch is now online, so has some safety there to try and help out for Kanavi, who just seems dead set on making it as miserable as day for the bottom of WE.
Joe Mong trying his very, very best to get back into this game. He is still 20 CS down. As we can see, Kanavi, he is not stopping. He's a ganking machine. Good double barrel, though, from Morgan. Has to burn his flash in the aftermath of that. As Zoom also forced to back away. Morgan trying his very, very best to defend this tower from losing any more plates. Oh, we're going to see a lot of CC, and that tower is going to do a lot of damage. Just about enough for Yagao, and you cannot go under tower versus a Nautilus.
Most certainly, but Yagao finds him right on the edge, and Plex, we've just been singing his praises, saying, look, has managed to get the plates in the mid lane, forced Yagao back, but one step too far, and now 2 kills onto the Nautilus. Will be able to shove in this wave, still healthy and still has a heap of mana, so can look to roam off of this play as well, and making a beeline towards the bottom lane.
Beishan is here, like you said. We're going to have a quick replay, of course, of that. And this was just Plex, without any real mana, just not respecting the damage that the tower can give.
I think he thought Yagao was behind that turret, because that hook did look a little bit wonky the way it sidelined the turret, but well played by Yagao. Understands exactly what he's capable of doing in that scenario.
Now 2-0 on this Nautilus. Won't mind that he's a little bit behind in CS. The next dragon spawning in a minute and 30 seconds is going to be the Inferno coming up. And you can see Plex and Beishan being hunted right now by the side of JDG. They know exactly where they are because of that tremor sense. Now WE know exactly where they are. Not testing any more waters, they're backing away.
Jiameng and Missing are making their way up though. It looks like WE want to try and make more out of this. We'll have the Rift Herald go down. This will get the 2 plates, so the rest of this cavalry is here to try and finish off this turret.
Ooh. Half health off of Lu Mao. There's the 2 turret plates, like you said, so a little bit of gold. There's the engage coming in. The quickness comes in as well. There's the Affiliates ultimate as well as the Kiana's. And there's the Misfortune trying to get on top of him, but Kiana falls down. Flash in from Yagao as the fight now really turns into JDG's favor. They have got Loken just free hitting on the backside, and Misfortune just can't get involved. They're trying their best to just back away. Yagao's feeling it, but not too much. He's going to back himself away. 30 seconds till Dragon spawns. JDG going to turn and burn.
WE are not a fan of this mid lane turret so far. Not able to finish it off because the Rift Herald's so easy to kill nowadays. Yagao knows this, throws out the hook, sets up the play, and WE are left very much wanting in this game. Now just passing the 13-minute mark, and we're nearly at a 3k gold lead for JDG.
Again, we're looking at the mid and AD carry, or sorry, bot lane positions of JDG, 2-0-2 individually as they come into this mid game, and it's looking so difficult for the side of WE to really kind of find avenues back. They almost need another mistake from JDG to really kind of hand them life.
And JDG aren't really giving them that right now. Yagao's been playing incredibly well on this Nautilus. Great to see that he's expanding his champion pool to pick up these newer picks and have the impact. Very capable of pushing out these side waves alongside Zoom. And if you've got both a Mordekaiser and a Nautilus joining in these team fights from a side lane, you're in a lot of trouble.
Mountain Drake means Mountain Rift. It's actually the exact same drakes as we saw in the last game. Infernal Ocean into Mountain, so no Cloud, rip. But like you said, Just Team WE not really having the luck in that mid lane, hard forcing something that just wasn't really there for them. And it does feel like they're just misunderstanding certain situations. It does feel like they're underestimating the amount of CC and damage that can come out from JDG in an instant.
And this is the problem, is that the way WE want to play their composition is to kite back, is to try and force JDG to come through the bullet time, have Plex poke them out, Morgan with the cannon barrage to try and create some distance, but they don't have enough slows right now. They don't have any way to try and back them up, particularly if they're going for something like that mid lane turret where they're the ones pushing for it aggressively. It allows JDG the easy opportunity to get the engages that they want.
Look at Kanavi on the minimap. He's got himself behind enemy lines again. Gonna use the blast cone, but unfortunately for him is sitting right on top of a ward. But again, I've been honestly incredibly impressed with Kanavi this series. He's been so quick, and as I say that, Lumao, just gonna let him go. Just like missing, you know, it's the intention. Missing will watch back this VOD and go, you could have been caught out.
You've now got Let It Go from Frozen stuck in my head because
why did you have to say it? You didn't have to say it
if I have to suffer, everyone else has to suffer, okay? That's twice now. You had coin for my Witcher earlier on as well.
I could sing it, but I'm not going to. Yeah. I love how instantly you were no, don't.
I've gone to karaoke with you before. I know what that's like.
You live with me. You know
True.
exactly what it is. But we're going to come back to that later as JDG look to set up a dive in this bot lane. The quickness does catch out both of them, as well as the cannon barrage. They're trying to just pepper them down, but they're actually going to get the Death Realm onto this Misfortune, so she is locked in a battle to the end with Zoom, and she will not win it. It ends up being 2 kills going over to the side of JDG, and they can teleport Yagao to the top side to stop any kind of recreational push.
This is anything but recreational or leisure time for WE. They are finding themselves deeper and deeper in the ground, and JDG are not letting up. But this is what we mentioned in Champ Select. You don't really have much of a hole for much of a way for WE to get out of this hole.
I think I was thinking of a different word, and recreational just came out. I don't know where I was going with it, but sure, does not matter. You can see the plates very much in favor of JDG as Loken is just farming himself up a storm on 134 CS. And actually, as I say that, I look at Mordekaiser. Zoom, he's almost just above the 10 CS a minute, having himself a fantastic game as we have a look at that bot lane dive.
This is just, again, you don't have the Zoe able to push out of mid lane. You open up Yagao to try and go for these plays. They even bring down Zoom to make sure that this happens. And there's very, very little that you can do. This is going to continue throughout the game, and unless you can start to get these waves in check to allow, you know, Beishang to try and get in to turn these ganks around with a good supreme display of talent, you're really going to struggle as WE to find the opportunity to turn these plays around. JDG now have control of the top side. They aim to get this turret and also have that Rift Herald started up.
They can take both at the same time. They are just in so much control. 4,500 gold. Going to be a little bit under the 5,000 mark now as they go towards this mid-game. Not even Baron spawning just yet. And like you said, this is the moment you could say that a Rift Herald does actually start to look incredibly powerful when you're ahead, when you're just pushing for more advantages.
Especially when there's only the single outer turret remaining in that mid lane. You can have the side lanes pushed in by Zoom and Yagao. They can just wander in to collapse into mid lane, or you can just go for the play straight off.
You can just go straight in. Glacial Fissure to try and stop Plex from going down. It's just not going to be enough, though. Missing also has a flash away. All summoners burned there. Great hook there, but bullet time to respond means that the side of JDG need to back themselves away. They drop the Rift Herald, but it could die before the charge.
No, we'll get the charge off.
On the backside, though. Going to see Beishang almost get the ultimate off, but not quite, and that's going to immediately incite the side of JDG to jump straight back in. Kanavi jumps in, trying to jump on top of Morgan, but thinks the better of it. And these fights are just happening it seems to be one after the other. People just walking into JDG.
And WE seemed as surprised that Beishang going in as we were, because that was not the play you wanted to make. Missing was not in position. You had no ultimate from Jiameng to try and follow up from that either. WE are all over the place.
It was 2 misplays. You'll see it from the start here. It's a proto-belt push forward from Plex as he tries to push the wave, and it just immediately ruins him for everything else.
I love the instant, like, oh god, I've made a mistake. Flashback out. But why? Why are you pushed up this far? You know the 2 turrets are gone. You know the next objective is going to be that mid lane for JDG. You're handing them the opportunity on a silver platter, and Beishang trying to make the hero play. Good flashes keep the rest of them safe. And Missy and the rest of them are just like, what in the name of God is going on?
Able to turn it all. You can see Kanavi here thinks about going in under Morgan, thinks the better of it after it, but Beishang, oh my dear summer child. Not unfortunately your day as he goes down 0-3. Only 1 kill for Team WE. They did pick up a plate in the top side, I do believe. But other than that, there's not really much else going for them.
And they still don't have any way of forcing back JDG. Once this turret does go down in the mid lane, JDG can start to get their vision control in. Baron is going to be coming up soon. They've already got their 3 mountains, or their 3 dragons as well. So would be pretty handy for them to secure a mountain soul. There goes the turret. And now WE find themselves in an even worse situation where they're losing control of the map. They don't have any way of kiting away from JDG's engage.
For JDG, this is the moment where you need to make this clean. This is where you need to make a crisp end to this game. Put down a marker that says, you know what, yes, we had a couple of small, bad early games in our first series, maybe even our first game of this series, but we are here to be contesting for playoffs. And for Team WE, they need to hope that the mid-game kind of faux pas, if you like, the mistakes that JDG have shown do actually come up in this next, 5-6 minutes.
JDG are playing smart here though, so you can see Zoom and Yagao are pushing the waves in. They're trying to get them in some sort of coordinated manner.
Oh no, look at the fancy feet as everyone just backs away from the Glacial Fissure. Missing will go down, and that is just unfortunate there for the side of Team WE.
Yagao is backed as well, making his way from base, so JDG can turn towards this Baron. Beishang would love to be able to get in here with the Supreme display of talent, but is 2 levels behind Kanavi, so why would you try and contest?
They have no bullet time either. They do have the Cannon Barrage, so they could try and just pepper them down. As you can see, JDG aren't interested in the Baron at all. They turn immediately onto Beishang and Plex, and they are deleted. Lumao takes so much damage, but he is still safe, and the Misfortune is trapped in the Death Realm. She flashes over to the blue buff to be grabbed back and smashed down. JDG are ripping through Team WE, and they will take their prize.
Pick up the Baron as easy as they like. Zoom slaughtering the AD carry. JDG making a statement in this game that they want to try and finish this as quickly as possible and silence anyone who was talking about them having a weak mid game. Namely me.
Yes, I was going to say mainly you on camera, but there's plenty of people who would have.
You don't have evidence of that.
There's no evidence. You just happen to say yours into a microphone. Morgan still 0-0-0. Everyone else on pretty much 0-4 apart from the Misfortune. This has just been dire straits. I actually quite like the
synergy.
Yeah, I was going to say, did you look at the other side as well? The other side 4-0-5 all across the board apart from support. I like that. That makes me feel good.
Pretty.
It's very pretty. Yeah. I like symmetry. But Team WE.
I mean, it depends on which symmetry. I like the JDG one because you feel good about it. Not so much on WE. That's a bit of a rough spot.
That's true. But if you're on JDG, you still like the Team WE one because you look at it and go, yeah, we're winning. But again, the Team WE, what is there else to say about them? JDG just seem to be outclassing them in all areas.
I think it comes back to, well, for definitely this game, the draft. I'm not sure what the thought process was with Plex going for the Zoe. We saw that it didn't really have an impact in Game 1, now again in Game 2. And even in the Siege scenarios where, like this, it should be shining, they're not able to get the connections that they want.
Crescendum goes down, puts down a little bit of turret, a little bit of zoning as well. You can see, still got some good wave clear on the side of Team WE. As they look to try and find that miracle engage.
It's Zoom that you need to look at in the bottom lane, though. JDG are just trying to bait them in, keep them busy in the mid, but missing.
Trying to go for something. Hook in onto Morgan means they're going to get Plex in with the ultimate as well, but that's going to be Beishang completely isolated away from his team. Another dredge line. Yagao just cannot miss as he just pretty much isolates everyone else away from that tower. WE, they need to back away.
The big problem for WE right now is that their tanky member, the Braum, has gone with the Redemption, so not any real tank stats on this team. So if Yagao lands a hook onto anyone, they're taking a plethora of damage from the rest of JDG. Tower number 1 goes down in the bottom lane, tower number 2 in the mid, and tower 3 in the top lane will be soon to follow.
One silver lining for Team WE at the moment is they have not broken their base. Their base is still there. Beishang
I thought you were going to say they have 1 kill.
Well, that's not a silver lining when they're 11,000 gold behind. But They can still look for a mistake. JDG are not flawless. They can be caught out. But Yagao is just so tanky at this stage, and Zoom hasn't left. He doesn't need to leave. He is just untouched in this bot lane. Yes, defend your tier 2. I'm getting a tier 3.
I love that it's actually JDG who are pinging question marks in the bottom lane going, someone is eventually going to show up to this, right?
There's another turret or two going over in favor of JDG, and now Team WE, the one silver lining I gave them is gone. Their base is broken. Baron will wear off in about 10 seconds, so you can see JDG, they're going to go back, spend the gold they just got themselves, and come out even stronger in the next team fight.
And that grey sky is looking a lot darker, turning to black as you realize that that's going to be the Dragon Soul as well up for JDG if they're able to secure this Mountain Drake. And for WE, this is more the slow demise, the nails slowly being put into the coffin of this series.
How do you kill anyone on JDG after this dragon goes down? There's just, like, even though arguably, objectively, not the greatest dragon, but when you're so far ahead and you're Nautilus mid with a Mordekaiser top, you just have so much. You have so much to get through in terms of health bars.
You do the solo queue special and right, can I just get a pentakill before you end? And then maybe someone would be nice enough to give you a kill.
Maybe.
Maybe.
But
not holding my breath.
Yeah, not hold. Again, we'll say that a million times about Team WE. And unfortunately for them, this is a very scary kind of showing from them in the sense that it shows them as a very, very weak team coming into the start of the season.
And that's kind of what we expected coming through with Plex and Joya Meng entering into the roster. Big step down from the likes of Mystic, big step down from GA, and you're seeing the results where they're not able to do anything.
Here we go, quickness shows get the knock up as well. Beishang is just taken and down and flash in. Yagao wants to go 1v4, immediately get caught up by Zoom, who's exhausted straight away. Yagao has a lot of damage put on top of him, but he will Zhonya's along with Kanavi as the rest of Team WE is just running away to any kind of safety. Kanavi jumps straight in. They are going to miss the ultimate from the affiliates, but it does not matter at this stage. JDG are just too far ahead.
And now they're going to start pushing in. Well, no, decide the better of it. Going to back away. They're happy with their inhibitor, Turret Plex, trying to see if he can pick off anybody, but not going to be the case today. JDG now can back away. Mountain Drake there for them. And, I mean, it's only going to be a minute until that Baron spawns.
Yeah, they took the Mountain Drakes. So they have plenty of tanky stats. They're just going to try and go back, deny as much as they possibly can. Got a little bit overzealous there, I imagine, in the base. Didn't want to give away too much, despite coming out arguably ahead in the fight.
True, it is JDG. They like to take things a little bit slower and not force the point too hard. But you can see here, Missing tries to go forward, lead the charge, but there is very little that they can do in this scenario. And it's on to Lu Mao as well. So not even like it's any of the important members of this roster.
I love how Yagao is fearless there. He's like, I'm jumping in. There's nothing that anyone can do about it, and I'm just going to jump in. You can see Kanavi and Yagao able to use the stopwatches there to great effect. And here's just a little bit of an overextension here. Yes, he gets missing, but he loses everything else.
Now we see the Baron spawning in just 10 seconds. I'm scratching my head, desperately trying to figure out any way that WE have a hope of getting into this, but
it's a mistake. They need a mistake from JDG. They need either a miracle steal from Beishang or they just need a straight up mistake. This is do or die right now for Team WE. You lose this, you lose the game. Baron down to about half HP. Yagao is just playing keep away, so is Lu Mao. As Beishang tries to push himself onto the back end of this Baron, the cannon barrage goes down. Zoom is just going to jump straight in onto the Misfortune. They're going to use the blast cone. Baron goes in. It's going to be a straight steal. Will he be able to get it? No! It went down to 4 HP. It does go over to JDG. They lose the Rakan. They get the Kiana. Zoom is trying to do as much as he can, and he will just keep smacking people down. There's a good bullet time, but an even better hook coming in from the Nautilus, and JDG will take the game and the series.
And it starts with a hook, it ends with a hook. Yagao on the Nautilus, finishing off what they started. JDG will stride through the base and pick up their second victory of LPL Spring.
2 series, 2 2-0s. JDG cementing themselves towards the top half of that table. Again, very, very early on the season, but this is very, very good signs from JDG.
Most certainly. Picking up 2 wins, and I mean, we can kind of argue that it's against two teams that you would have expected